case study about the myofascial release in water, structural change supporting the performance of disabled athletes. And let me find, okay, let me find my presentation on the computer. Disconnected or is not. Basically, I had the opportunity to see Emine, who is a disabled athlete from Turkey during my training. Actually, we have met several times because she was coming to the sessions, and at one point we decided to make a presentation for international for the conference in Turkey about how we can apply myofascial release in water in order to improve performance. So we did a short meeting with her and short kind of check and short work as a kind of first assessment and gathering information to prepare for the work. And unfortunately, this work, the larger part of the work didn't happen. But I would like to share what we did in this short meeting. But at the moment, I am trying to find. My presentation because I'm working on the second computer and it's not easy. See if it's working now. It should work now. Yes. Okay. We'll try to start this presentation. Okay. Can you see the presentation? Just double checking. Okay, perfect. So it's actually 10 years anniversary of this work when we presented this in conference Sports Connect in Ulm in Germany. And with very nice audience because Dr. Robert Schlag was one of the auditors and organizers of that conference, and we received very interesting feedback, which I appreciate a lot. And basically, myofascial release in water is bringing the principles and techniques as well of structural bodywork into the water. Because I have been doing aquatic bodywork since 2000 and manual work even earlier. And I was at that time I was involved a lot in work on fascia, on structural bodywork. So my colleague Mariusz Kurkowski said, "Why don't you connect these two things together?" And we started to explore this work together. So I would like to give the credits Mariusz, who was inspiration. Unfortunately, he was very busy and he decided not to continue developing this work. So I did this by my own later on. And so a few words about the structural bodyworks. What is the structural bodyworks? So it is a beautiful work because we can create a change in shape and function in the body through the connective tissue, through the fascia, which I will say a few words later on. So we can change the shape by changing the shape of fascia, of connective tissue. Structural bodywork also allows us to see the body as a whole, and also through the connections, myofascial connections of the body. And so there are many approaches, many modalities, many bodywork types, which are talking about the holistic approach, the wholeness, and so on. Here we have the whole thing, the whole body, seeing through the myofascial connection, to the paths where the information travels, basically most important where the force is traveling, and how everything is connected. And for me, it's very interesting work, because sometimes you can do kind of miracle using just the hands, or sometimes other tools. So it's very interesting work, because we became like an artist sometime. So fascia became popular, connective tissue research and practical application became popular more or less 15 years ago. That was the kind of rising interest, and still on top level of interest of researchers. A lot of new informations are coming out every year, and I will, because this is the topic for another lecture, another courses, and so on. So I just highlight the most important thing about fascia. So it's almost everywhere in the body. So it's the network which connects the whole body, and sometimes it disconnect. For example, abdominal cavity is disconnected through diaphragm from the upper part. So it do both, connects and disconnects. As I said a bit earlier, fascia is the ground for transferring the energy, but also it can store the energy. So the forces are transmitting through the connective tissue, but connective tissue, for example, like Achilles tendon, can store the energy and then release the energy like a catapult thing. So which we can see in walking or running, especially running paths. So first is the pre-tension and then release. So we have free kinetic energy. So this is another benefit from this. It's also not only stores and transforms energy, but also informations and memory. A lot of things stays in the fascia, and if you been doing manual body work on land, massage, or work in the water, if you go deeper to the structure, you sometimes see tears, you sometimes see other emotions coming from the body. So it's touching and releasing of the memory of the emotions stored in the connective tissue. It's also a sensory organ, and there's also a lot of work from beautiful work from Dr. Robert Schleib. He describes this very nicely. And fascia protects and gives the shape of the organs, gives the shape also for the muscles, for other structures. So it's a protective structure, and also very important, very interesting, and very important for this kind of work is that fascia is plastic. It means that fascia adapts to the demands in the body. For example, if I sit by the computer and my shoulders are forward, so the front structure are shortening and the structures at the back are lengthening. So fascia adapts to the positions which we take during a long time or intense, like for example, intense training. So it adapts. So sometimes it's negative because kind of postural patterns which are not nice. It is due to the adaptation, to the plasticity of fascia, adaptation to the situation. But the good news is we can undo this process by manual work or other movement approaches as well. So we can shape the body. You can undo unwanted patterns. Also, it's elastic. What I said about the Achilles tendon. So we can use this for example, performance for training. As I said, fascia is everywhere in the body. Is different kinds of connective tissue. For example, this yellow on the top of the belly is the superficial fascia. Is actually the fat, which is another way of another kind of connective tissue, and is everywhere in the body. We have been doing dissections, and after removing the skin, the whole body is yellow. Go to the next. So using the principles, the knowledge and research on fascia and knowledge from this field, we can apply specific principle in order to create the change in which we want in the body. And most people are doing this on land, on table, or sometimes on the mat. But because of my connections with water, I brought this to the water, and it gives another possibilities, another opportunities, because in water, as we know, there is no gravity, there is buoyancy. So it changed the game in the structural bodywork, because the main stimuli to shape the fascia is the gravity, actually. And here we disconnect this, so we have very interesting outcomes in this situation. So how we work, how we create the strategy of the work. First of all, we do the visual assessment of the body, of the posture. We need to collect the medical history, so some issues which may have influence on this shape of the body. We need to know the client's needs, which is also important to create the strategy. And then we can plan what we do. We do the therapy, actual therapy, and we do re-evaluation. So we check also during the therapy if we go to the good direction or not, so we can change the plan. And a few words about visual assessment. This is the big story, is a whole training on that. But long story short, first of all, we want to assess the static posture of the body. So we want to know how the bones are set in the gravity. And based on this, we can see what soft tissue is engaged in that setting. So which is pulling, which is short, which is too long, and so on. Also, it is good to do the functional assessment, both typical physiotherapy movement tests, but also we can do functional everyday life assessment. For example, someone wants to have possibility to brush the teeth easily. So we can see this move and look where there are restrictions and what to do. Remembering that is not only the, for example, shoulder restriction, but the shoulder is part of the whole and is interconnected with other parts. So we need to see the other parts, and it's kind of interesting because it's like detective work, because the pain, for example, pain in the knee, is usually the victim, and the criminal is sometimes quite far away from the knee. So it's our job is like a detective job to find the criminal somewhere else in order to fix the knee, which is the victim. Also, as I said, in the water, there is water is a game changer here, because there's no gravity, so we can do the visual assessment also in water, and we can combine this information from on land assessment and in water, because, for example, in water we can do three-dimensional movement easily. We can check very subtle movements. So water assessment is additional to what we do on land, and gives very interesting additional information. So this is basically theoretical part of the myofascial release in water. In actual work, we do passive and active techniques. So passive techniques is releasing the restrictions, creating the change in shape, and active is more about re-education of the movement and the restoring mobility. So both together works very well. And it's, as I said, it's very beautiful work. It's kind of shaping, and sometimes people tend to go too far in this idea, and they're going closer to the gut. And we need to remember about the limitations. Actually, this is not a structural bodywork or myofascial release in water is not a golden pill for every problem. And as other therapies have red flags, contraindications. So the main are the acute pain, autoimmune disease, the cancer. So these things we have to be careful, among others. And basically the best effects are for healthy people who wants to improve the performance. So healthy people means that basically there are no other contraindications, so we can do any change in the shape without worry that this change can affect the other areas, which, for example, are problematic in other disease, for example. So here, athletes are very good clients, because basically they are healthy and they want to improve their performance. So the benefits of structural bodywork and myofascial release are just addressed directly to them. Also, people with various conditions may benefit from this kind of work when it's not contraindicated to the main problem, but it can offload some tensions in other parts of the body, improve mobility, improve the conditions, general conditions of the body. So there is, if there is less tension in the body as a whole, the less tension is coming for the problematic area. And for example, is not so painful, because there is no that much tension in the let's say knee problem. So it's a great work, but we need to remember about the limitations. And let me go to the main topic of this lecture, which is a case study about Emine. As I said, is amazing girl. She has an amazing story. And also I want to mention about a person who is her trainer and also a therapist, Dr. Duran Arsan. He's a WOTS instructor from Turkey, and he has real talent in finding people from outside. Emine is from interior of Turkey, from poor family, and she went to the Turkish millionaire video show in order to get money for prosthetic for her legs. Unfortunately, she didn't go through. She just stopped it after the second maybe question. She was very sad, very unhappy, and but good things are in the air, and someone contacted Dr. Duran that she want to sponsor the prosthetic, and they bought professional prosthetic which she use now, and she's a swimmer, Paralympic swimmer, with both legs and left arm amputee. She has very high motivation to training. She competes well in the Paralympic competitions, and she's also very even with such difficulties, she has very good attitude. She's very positive person, and we can see how she walks through life. That's what she normally does, but for me is also a way of seeing as a kind of assessment for therapeutic use. So it's always good to see the walking pattern. And as far as for her training, it's quite intense with frequent trainings during the week. And what the main problems for her was overload of the shoulder girdle. It's also from walking with prosthetic as well, and also problems and pain in the spine, and restrictions also in the shoulder girdle. So when we want to apply treatments with the athletes, we need to look closer to the specific movement patterns which are in the discipline, the sport discipline, and we need to see how they perform. So here's the movie from the pool. Okay, so as we can see, water gives freedom for movement. She does very well, and she probably her movement in water is faster than on land. So what we wanted to do with her in terms of treatment, basically, as I said, it was the idea was to collect information for the lecture, for the treatment during the conference, and I did only the one or two things just to show how it works, to show us others in her team. So what was the goals for the therapy? We want to improve the mobility of the shoulders. Also, this is connected when we get the improvement in mobility of the shoulders, is automatically improvement of the breathing, breathing for swimming is very important. So this was two goals for the therapy, and I did some techniques around the shoulder, the arm. So a few of them you can see here. If the connection will allow.
Ben senin kaslarını, kolunu tutacağım, kaslarını tutacağım.
Yes.
Sen de açma gelme yapacaksın. Yaparsan hiçbir yerde kullanamazsın. Aklını ben hocam. Diyorum ki iteyi çekersen işte that's normal. That's maximum.
So with this with this short approach, we got the improvement in the movement, and because it was we had no equipment to measure, we use what we've got. So here we can see the range of movement was increased between 5 8 centimeters. So with such short work is quite good result. Also self-feeling was good, feeling of breathing was better. So she was happy with what she received. I do hope I will have opportunity to work with her again and do whole body work in order to help her to improve her results in swimming. So if someone is interested in going more deep, is possibility to get training in myofascial release in water. So it's we have actually two kind of people who learn. So it's aquatic therapists who wants to expand their skills and give more techniques in water, or also it can be for land body workers who has no experience in aquatic body works but wants to have additional tool for assessment and for therapy. So it can be both for land and for work therapists. and we have the quite short of part of the certification because it's designed for people who are already specialists on land or in water. So it's just 5 days training intense or followed with practice, and then integration, so putting together, answering the questions and working on the strategy. Supervision, which is a case assessment, which can be done online, and we can certify someone as a practitioner. Other part is 3 trainings, 2.5 days training, so about basics, so it's introduction, passive techniques and active techniques, the same practice, the same supervision. So it's pretty short, and you can get very valuable tools for your practice, which can be used also in WOTSU sessions, and ability to see the whole body, to assess and find the negative pattern, to create the strategy for treatment. Is good for everybody. So thank you very much for listening, and I will be happy to answer the questions. Go out for this. Okay, so there's a questions. There's a question from Macho Roque from Mexico. So have you been able to verify a significant difference in the treatment of fascia performed in water compared to the same maneuver performed on land? Thank you very much, Marcel, for this question. Yes, it is. As I said, bringing things to the water make a pivotal change. Is basically we release the influence of the gravity, because the body which is lying down in the water is only about 10% of the weight of the head and other parts which are above the water is under the gravity. The rest is under the buoyancy. So it's the gravity have minimal effects. So it's not significant effect. So we may say there is a gravity-free situation. And I was talking about fascia, I was talking about connective tissue. We need to understand that even if fascia is everywhere in the body, in most cases we have this. We have to consider this as a myofascia. So it's the muscles which include the fascia, the connective tissue inside, on macro and microscopic levels. So this is like the crosscut of the orange. If you cut the orange, you see the white parts and the orange. So if we do the crosscut of the muscles, we will see red and white. White will be the connective tissue. Red will be the muscular tissue. So it is blended together. It works together. So on land, we have more tension in the muscles because they need to work against the gravity, and the whole system is whole myofascial, whole muscular system is activated in order to keep the shape in the gravity. On land, this activation is decreased very much. So actually in the water we address more connective tissue than on land, because on land we address both connective and muscular tissue which is active. In water, muscular tissue is relaxed. So we in water we can go deeper, we can go more specifically to connective tissue to fascia and perform the work and achieve the change which we desire. I hope it helped you to answer your question. Hello, Jeanette. The question is, could you please recommend some sources as books, for example, about the fascia? Recently, last year, it was released the second edition of the book by Robert Schleip and others. So it's a huge book about fascia. So fascia connective tissue is quite a long title. I don't remember the whole title exactly. So if you Google Robert Schleip fascia book, you will find this book. It is a kind of fascia Bible because there was a lot of contributors from many different fields. Myself, I had contributed one chapter with the application of fascia work in sports field, and this is one of the books which I definitely recommend. Also, I do recommend the book of Tom Mayers about anatomy trains. It is nice for beginners in this field, because it explains very well and gives quite interesting possibilities for therapeutic approach. And well, there's many other books which can be recommended. I would like to invite you to start from these two.